Welcome, everyone. We are here today at the Hope Grows Iris Respite House, and with us today we have one of our partners of the month, and that is Jan, and she is with the South Hills. I was going to say senior first, but it's South Hills Senior Alliance.
That is correct.
And they are, just overjoyed to have you here and being a support here for family caregivers and to share, some valuable information for them and. Just to have a casual conversation about, what is it that you all do with the South Hills Alliance, and share our connection together with Hope Grows, and how we're helping to move along this advocacy and awareness for family caregivers so that they can get the support that they need. So, welcome everyone, and I'm going to turn it over to Jan at this point so she can share, about the South Hills Seniors Alliance. So welcome, Jan.
Well,
it's so great to have you
Thank
here.
you for having me. I am Jan. Blayhead is my last name, and I'm representing a networking group. It's called South Hills Senior Alliance. We are predominantly interested in the senior market, but many of us do things for other age group. And we are professionals representing companies that address the needs of that population. And while we are a South Hills-based company or organization, our companies have offices in many parts of the greater Pittsburgh area.
Oh, nice.
As well as nationally. So depending on a person's need and the services they want, we should be able to have a connection for them.
Wonderful. And how many how large is your membership?
Well, we're trying to actually contain it to a certain number.
Oh, okay.
And so we're right around the 30 individual members. And what's nice about it is that we meet weekly, and we get to know each other very well and what services we provide, and so that the conversations can be, I have a caregiver calling me with this need. I can't help them. I think your business is a perfect match for that. And that's why we try to keep it smaller so that we can really understand each other's business. But on the other hand, as far as caregivers, there's usually one or two types of business or representatives of a certain type of business. So if you need a senior community, we have several of those. Or if you need hospice, we have several of those options. Just to give you as a caregiver some variety,
sure.
But for us to know each other and who's a better match.
Right. Wonderful. Oh, that's great. That's really good to know. And do you have a place where you meet on a regular basis, or is it kind of spread out among the members?
Well, we have become a Zoom.
Well, right now, correct.
No, that's how we started.
Oh, interesting.
Actually, the group started because we couldn't interact personally, in person. So we're keeping that. It's working well, and we meet weekly. And I think we're going to continue that.
Yeah,
that's a format that has worked for us.
Wonderful. I didn't know that, so that's good to know. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm anxious and excited to get some information out there to provide to family caregivers, and get them the resources that they need. So, just curious then, what makes you feel inspired to be a part of this, group, and also doing what you do outside of the group?
Well, everybody does all kinds of things.
Sure.
And I can honestly say that I'm very confident that the group is inspired by their work. So we started off learning about each other's work.
Okay.
And just in the conversations that we have with each other, you can really tell when a person is genuine about their work. They are thrilled when they can find a resource for somebody, when they can match them up. And that's predominantly where we interact with caregivers. When a caregiver is in a situation and maybe something has changed and they need another source or a reason to be looking for something else. So we are there for them. But I hear people talking about how fulfilling that is. But on the other hand, these people then having the same kind of behavior when something personal happens with us. We've had a member that was in a terrible car accident, or somebody's spouse needed a heart transplant. So they start the caregiving process among the group members. And so as far as your caregivers go, that's important, because if people are willing to take care of each other in their network, they're certainly going to take care of them in their needs.
Right. Yeah. And community is that's what we're finding here, is just the need for community and for caregivers to feel safe and comfortable in that setting, and how important just community support is.
Well, and caregivers are always breaking ground.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't, unless...
And if they broke the ground, then they got to break it again.
Correct, because something's different. And so they're always, when they get to us, they're always to the point where they're overwhelmed, they're distraught, they don't know what resources are available, and you don't really pay attention to resources until you personally need them.
Right. That's so true.
And so what you're saying is what we're trying to convey, and that's why we do a lot of activities, so people get to know us. So if you are comfortable with our personality and what you're seeing and hearing, that when it's time for that service to be needed, you're comfortable reaching out.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Absolutely. So that's what inspires you then. It
inspires us to keep going and see that overwhelmed resolved. Seeing people starting to calm down and thinking they have options, thinking they're not in this alone.
Right. Right. I was just talking with another partner of the month that, in our conversation, it was brought up where, when caregivers start to get the resurces that they need, or the help that they need, you can just see it in their face.
Oh, absolutely.
That whole transition just changes, and just from there, like, wow, they've been helped, or they've been a receiver of some help, and it's been beneficial.
Well, I have a cute little story. We started getting together because we couldn't do things in person. And then we started thinking, well, what can we do? At the time that our group came together is when senior communities were not allowed to have visitors in or out. So the group was trying to figure out, what can we do? So somebody came up with this crazy idea to do a parade. It's not a fancy parade. It's our personal cars. It's company cars, a few balloons, a nice thinking of you sign, and we drove by senior communities. Wow. I understand from all the marketing people that the residents went crazy. That crazy little parade, which was nothing, made their day. And so we started doing more and more of this. Here's the weird part. When the weather got nice, their wellness directors had them make signs. So when we drove by,
oh, how nice.
The sign said, "We love a parade. Thank you for doing this." And so we thought we were providing all the love to people, and they gave it right back to us. And I think as caregivers, that often happens. Sometimes you feel as a caregiver, you may feel that your life is really restricted. You can't have as much freedom as you want, like these people couldn't leave their place. But the interaction back and forth between people was really heartwarming, and we were all like, "Whoa, unexpected!"
Not what we expected, right? Pleasant surprise.
Yes,
pleasant surprise. Oh,
so I guess that's part of why we're inspired.
That is inspirational, and it's just that circle of giving.
Yes,
and we use that here at Hope Grows a lot about that. The connection to nature, and that relationship that we have with nature is reciprocal. And we teach that with the care receiver too, that, there's a piece to giving as there is receiving. You just have to be open to both. And that's with nature. Nature's there. We can give, but we do receive. And it just becomes this reciprocal piece. Not to mention that we can't live without nature. We definitely need it for, to be able to breathe.
And that is one of the reasons that we were so happy to become a partner. That we just felt that your mission really supports all the people that we interact with.
Yeah, that's great.
It was a good,
A good fit. Yeah, a great fit. Awesome. I think you might have answered this question already, but I'm going to ask it again in case there's maybe a different way that you want to share some information. But in your opinion, what are the best resources for family caregivers?
Okay, well, I have brought several examples and just some things in our life from a variety of perspectives.
Sure.
The first one that I wanted to just mention is the Virtual Senior Academy. And this is an online program where a caregiver can go and watch something, interact with something, maybe because they don't have a lot of time and they want to do something that's just of their interest, or they may want to do it with the person that they're caring for, sort of an activity.
Sure.
And the Senior Virtual Academy is, it has all kinds of classes. So you can do a book club with the Carnegie Library. You can learn how to play chess. You can learn how to do computer. You can do, I don't know about Zumba, but they have some kind of activity. So that's very nice from those perspectives. I also brought an example of something called the Senior Blue Book.
They were one of our partners.
Okay,
Yes,
so April has her book everywhere.
It's amazing.
I think this book is terrific. Just the layout, it's very easy for products and services. So I'm glad that she was there. So that was good. The other book that I think, I don't know if you use this or not, it's called Take Care Tips.
We do have the book. We do, we have a library of books here that caregivers can look through.
But what I like about this is that I know in my experience, sometimes caregivers have about a minute and a half of time of their day.
Yes.
And so because it's individual and there's just a page, they can carve a niche somewhere to take a look at that and be inspired for the day, depending. And you don't even have to do it in order. You could just flip through and come up with whatever works for you.
Sure.
So those were my paper books.
And I just want to put a plug out there. I don't know if you're aware of part of our Think Caregiver program. I think I've mentioned we do the phone check-ins. So caregivers can opt in to receive that. But they can also opt in to receive a weekly email that goes out on Mondays. And it has 3 different tips in it each week. So that's another place that they could sign up to get that information and have like a weekly ongoing tip.
That's wonderful because especially with electronic, it just stays there for you, so you can pick and choose what time of day it works for you. Because I know lots of times in my family, people were staying with other folks all night, middle of the morning, and people that are dealing with illnesses or whatever, they're not always predictable with their sleep patterns.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Sometimes our inquiries through our internet, email, it comes in at 2 a.m.
Wow. Okay.
So caregivers, maybe that's the time that they have to breathe, or they're just, they've fallen asleep and then woke up and, and that's really a quiet time for them to be able to get their thoughts together. And those thoughts sometimes include what their needs are. Right.
Now, 2 other groups that I personally belong to, they're networking groups here in the region. And again, they're locally based, but they're national out there. So there are websites that caregivers can go to if they're looking for resources. One is called National Aging in Place Council, which I believe you are a member of. The other one is called Life Options Pittsburgh. So those are good resources.
Yeah, thanks for bringing those up.
But then, of course, I want to talk a little bit about South Hills Senior Alliance. So we have about 30, and I mentioned a wide range of companies in there. So I wanted to just say a little bit about those companies so that caregivers know who we are and what members are there. Okay. So this first one is one that I'm representing, which the group might find a little interesting. We're professional organizers. And lots of people say, well, how does that fit in? Well, sometimes as people age or if they're taking care of people, it's not always top on their mind to keep their environment as decluttered as needed, or they may have a lot of paper coming in, maybe with medical bills, and if they don't have systems in places to make that easy to reference and check, things might not be happening, or even people's finances, because typically the attention and all the energy is on taking care of a person. So professional organizers can do that, as well as help people age in place longer.
So I have a question. I know we not only work with the caregiver while they're caregiving, but we also do grief and bereavement support. And there's times where I'll hear, a husband or a wife, that's lost their partner and say, I'm really struggling adjusting to, the mail and writing bills, because I was never the one to do any of that. So that would be somebody I could refer.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We could help them. And I'm with Discover Organizing. That's the professional organizing firm that I represent. We have the philosophy of education. So we want to educate you on how to do it. We come in, we listen to your story, and people's transitions, that's a huge time when they need our things, because something's different. Something they don't have to know how to do things.
Right.
So we listen, we see how their lifestyle is, and we put processes in place. And we transfer our skills to them.
Wonderful.
So that they can learn how to do it.
That's wonderful.
Sometimes folks need like a 6-month checkup with us to just get back in place. Maybe something's different, but that's it. So we always say we are working our way out of business, but that's okay, because then people are happy and they refer us.
Well, we do here too at Hope Grows. Like, we teach self-care.
Right,
and if you're pretty savvy and you catch on to that self-care pretty quick, you don't need us. but
that's what we want.
But that's what we want. Absolutely. I joke about that, but no, that's, because if you're working with somebody even through, counseling, mental health counseling, and after, so many sessions, you're like, that relationship starts to be like, well, I don't think you need us anymore. And there's this piece. I said, well, that's a good thing. We've done our job then. So,
well, another aspect that I do as a professional organizer, or our company does, is senior move management and downsizing. And we do have another company in our organization that does that. So that's interesting too, because like you were saying, a lot of times when people pass, then a house is too large for them. And they either need to do something smaller or make sure they're okay in that space. And it can be overwhelming cleaning out, 30, 40, 50 years of stuff. Just the memories and trying to figure that out and reinvent themselves. And so you want to work with people who understand what you're going through, because it's not a matter of just tossing things in a trash can. No. It is not that. It is not that.
Right.
So we have two organizations that do that.
Wonderful.
We have a senior placement professional, and I don't know if the group knows that, but senior placement professionals get paid by the company or the location that you move into. So if you are deciding not to move into or to a place, you don't pay them. So it's nothing out of your pocket. So that's always nice, and that's a surprise for a lot of people that is available.
Sure.
We also have 2 or 3 hospice providers, and that's also, you never think that you're going to have to make that choice. And I know that happened in my family when my father they said, oh, who's your preferred hospice? I'm like, preferred hospice? I never even thought I would need a provider.
Let alone look one up.
Correct, and compare them.
Right,
So again, that's what I'm saying. It's very good to feel comfortable, and because they're not all the same. There's all, depending on your personality, it's good, and your faith, because a lot of them are faith-based, so that's good. We have in-home care providers. So that's
nice
to maybe even help a blend for if people can do it
to stay home
with those type of things. And for your caregivers, so that they may have a day a week that they can have to themselves or something. So we have several of those.
Right.
And we have senior communities that range anywhere from independent living all the way to skilled care nursing and rehabilitation centers.
Nice.
So it's a nice group of a variety of things that caregivers may need at one time or another.
Awesome. Very nice.
So that's us.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. It's always nice to hear what's out there. I know Pittsburgh, I hear time and time again that Pittsburgh has so many wonderful resources, but when there's a lot, it's hard to navigate. So it's nice to be able to maybe have one number they can call, have somebody kind of tell them, you know, I think you need this, this, and this, and then, you know, go from there. So.
And I think that's what's important, because if you find one of our members and you trust that member, then you're okay knowing that when this happens, they can say, well, here are two options of people that I work with weekly to know that they are a good match for you.
Right. Yeah. Very good. You know, let me ask you, is there a professional or a personal experience you've had with family caregiving that you would like to share?
There are a couple things. One that impressed me so much, it kind of startled me, was my boss at Discover Organizing. Her background story is that when she was graduating from high school, she lived in St. Louis, Missouri. She was all set to go to college, had her acceptance and everything, and at the last minute, her grandmother needed her. She changed her plans completely.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I'm impressed because she was an 18-year-old.
Oh, wow. That's
the
impressive.
grandmother had 16 children, so there were oodles of aunts and uncles living close by that could have done this, but she chose to move from St. Louis to eastern Pennsylvania, change her school to take care of her grandma.
Oh, my. Wow.
So I'm impressed. She
started
she started school for law, and because of what was happening in her personal life, went to social work, and then eventually she decided that she wanted to start her own business to help people take care of things in their lives.
Wow.
And the bond that she had from that time with her grandmother ended up years later that she was the one who found a personal care home for her grandmother when she needed it, and got all the aunts and uncles on the same page to move her, downsize her, pack all that. So I've always been pretty impressed with that.
Whoa, yeah. I mean, to be that age and then to deal with 16 aunts and uncles.
Yes.
You know, it's one thing if you're the sister or brother in that mix, but to be like the niece or the nephew. Yes. Wow, that is pretty impressive. Wow.
And as far as my personal interaction with caregiving, I cannot remember a time in my life, in my family, that there was never any caregiving going on.
Okay.
So from the time I was 5 and I saw my grandmother taking in her aunt who had her leg amputated, to my mom giving her mother-in-law insulin shots for 20 years, to my mom and dad taking 10 years of their life to take care of my bedridden grandfather, which is hard, but he also had black lung, he had a feeding tube, and he had a stroke. So I've seen years and years of how people just lovingly change their lives to make that happen. And so then it became my turn, and I was able to take care of my father. But my caregiving experience may be a little different than other people. I'm not really good with taking care of you physically, but I am great at talking to doctors, pharmacists, taking care of
You're the
bills.
organizer.
I am the organizer. And that way my mother could spend that one-on-one time that meant so much at the very end with my father.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And now we're to the point where my husband and I are stepping in with our moms a little more to help them with just their daily living that's just becoming a little tougher for them. So it's just been who my family is and what we do. So I completely understand what people were doing.
Yeah. So, you know, it always amazes me. Rosalind Carter, Jimmy Carter's wife, has an institute or an organization in Georgia based on family caregiving. And she says that there's 4 types of people in this world, and it's those that were caregivers, those that are caregivers, those that will be caregivers, and those that are being cared for.
Yes.
And if you think about, and I think the stat is like 9 out of 10 people fit that category.
Wow.
So it's like almost everybody if you think about it, you know. And I always think about that when we're talking about family caregiving and how many caregivers that are out there.
There are,
you know?
and the important part is how you view it. I mean. There were times I viewed it as, this is not right. I don't want to be in this position. And then there are other times when I'm like, this is what I am to do. And I'm very happy to do it. And share a little love that way.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, awesome. So what do you think the most important thing is that you learned in working with family caregivers?
Oh my gosh, I think they're
There's
just
a lot, huh?
there is
There's
a
a
lot,
of
but they're
lessons.
just so dedicated and they're
Mhm.
so caring and they're willing to give up their
Yeah.
life. And I think that's what's important for you.
Yeah.
That hope they have somebody like you so that they can find that
Oh,
balance
thanks. Yeah.
and be able to provide that care. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just a special group of people, and you don't always know. They don't put it out on their
Right.
arms saying, "Hey, look at me."
Right.
They just do what they have
Yeah.
because they
you're,
feel
you're
it's
not
right.
born with that description that you're
Right.
going to be a caregiver someday. You know, it does just come to you,
Mhm.
and you know, and I think it's a mindset too, and how you embrace it. But again, I don't want to exclude anybody though that struggles
Right.
with being a caregiver, and that's okay too.
But I see that a lot too, and even personally. One day you're like, and then you're like, so it's a constant internal thing that sometimes you feel guilty that you feel bad.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is that's okay.
It is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay where you're at with it.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that.
You're
So,
welcome.
is there anything that our listeners need to hear that you didn't get to share yet?
Well, you didn't ask me this question.
Okay.
Okay. What can South Hills Senior Alliances do for the caregivers?
There you go. Okay.
So we as a group are always looking for an activity and a
Okay.
give back. And I don't know what that might be, so I'm asking maybe caregivers can let either
Yeah.
you or me know that.
Mhm.
We've done parades, we've done maybe blogs, help write a blog for your website or a link to your blog. I don't know what the
Yeah.
possibilities
Yeah,
are.
sure.
I mean, even at Christmas time, holiday time, we did, everybody just did a 1 or 2 minute video and we put them together and we provided them to senior communities, something fun. I don't
Yeah.
know. It doesn't always have to be serious and educational. It can just be fun.
Sure. Yeah.
So maybe there's
Right.
something that they need. So
Yeah, and we do hear that we hear that from caregivers sometimes. My gosh, the education out there for caregivers is vast, and I'm tired of learning how to be a better caregiver. I just want to kick back and have some fun.
well, that's what this
So-
holiday thing. It was so much, and we had a great time
Yeah.
looking at it. My company did our pets. And we dressed all our pets up with holiday garb on it and put some music. Somebody and their little 5-year-old daughter told jokes,
Right.
like 5-year-old jokes. So
Sure.
that's kind of fun. Somebody else is Jewish, so she lit her menorah. And so everybody just came up with different things. And
Yeah.
it was in different age groups,
Sure,
so people
yeah.
love seeing
Nice.
that kind of stuff. So,
Nice.
so we're open to suggestions.
Oh, okay. To end, I'd like to just have you put out there how somebody hearing this, could connect with your group.
And I think the best way right now for connecting would just be to reach out to me, and then I in turn can match them up with a person, or I can put it out to the group as a whole because we meet weekly.
Okay.
The timing is good.
Okay.
And to do that, they would just reach out to me via email, and that would be Jan, as in my name, JAN, at discoverorganizing.com.
Okay. And is there a phone number too?
There is not.
There's not. Okay.
No,
Okay.
there is not.
Okay. Well, if you're struggling with, maybe not having email, don't just call Hope Grows 412-369-4673 and let us know that you'd like to get in touch with Jan, and I could make that happen if you don't have email.
And we'll do that. And if
So-
something changes, then we can always
Yeah.
share that with you, and then you can
Sure.
get out. to everybody.
Perfect. Okay. So just want to thank you, listeners, for tuning in and being with us today. And again, thank you so much, Jan, for
You
your
are
time
welcome.
and for coming here and sharing, your insights on family caregiving and, just the services that are out there for caregivers to take part in.
Thank
be
you
a
for
part
the
of.
invitation.
Yes. All right. Thanks.